At the institutional issues. For example, at the local level, you have what we are seeing. We are seeing this at the central groundwater authorities demarcation of certain blocks. We are also have the state groundwater authority. We have the district collectors, and also we have the farmers or the domestic users. Now, managing this entire show is not an easy thing in Indian context because we have groundwater user, 20 to 25 million users who are using the groundwater. So how to regulate or how to manage? So there is a need to incentivize also because we have to change our thinking and also the policy. Actually, this, if you look at the water management, it is looked at in an isolated manner in India. Basically, maybe in other countries also as well. But in India, when you talk about the water management, we talk in an isolated manner. We never think in a holistic manner in the sense that it is linked to the development policy.
I think we are in this incredible challenge in the humanity and in this mess because of the lack of information, because of the lack of education. I can't say that the industrials are the bad guys because use the water in such way. But when I hear distinguished panelists, I am in different summits for the last 25 years. I'm an environmental educator, and I didn't hear quiet or very strongly the miss key in this situation, and is the lack of education. We have an incredible information, but we didn't spread the information, and we continue in this kind of summits talking with the same environmentalists and scientists that we already know everything about that. We already hear the same presentations, but we don't go out. I invite you to answer me if there is any concrete plan to put environmental education for sustainable development for the next summit. We will replace this summit like the Kyoto Protocol. The mistake in the Kyoto Protocol, even when the intentions was so good, the mistake was against the economy. If in this time we was signed for the education, 15 years later, maybe the leaders will be more than a few that we are now. It's about awareness. Our proposal, and when I say our proposal working with the UNESCO, Education for Sustainable Development, is to establish education for sustainable development mandatory at the same level that we study math or language in the educational system, and then the solutions will come up from the collective intelligence. The solutions will come up from the new generation. We will not fix our mess again that we make in the last 100 years in environmental era. But next generation, yes. If we help them to address this information from kindergarten to 12, and then there is anyone that can answer me if there is any strong plan to present at the next summit in Paris to don't forget education, to have the most important key, education.
In India, we already have it. We have a course on environmental education is there at the primary, is there at the middle school level. And now all central universities, University Grants Commission has made it mandatory. Any course that you wish to do in any subject, you need to have a basic course in environmental studies. That is mandatory, it has been implemented. And universities will find it very difficult to escape that responsibility. Not only that, a course in disaster management as well. So these are core themes, so that concern is very much being addressed. You're right in saying that, how fast and, how well it can be done. How motivating it can be for a small child to understand some of these issues. You see, when I talked about demystifying, I don't really mean to undermine the great work that scientists and experts are doing. But, if you want to take this work down to the common people, to the communities, you may need to make them understand the basics. You see, so that level of demystification has to be there, right? So that is a very, very important component, and I think that unless that gets addressed, no matter how much we achieve at these summits, and no matter how much scientific work we do in ministries and departments, things will not really work at the grassroots. That is a very strong contention that I have.
But I think I want to agree with your contention that the data, the enormous data I think we are collecting from all sources on groundwater is not available to the users, to the extent they can understand it. So there lies the complexity and the challenges before us, that how we can share the data in the language of their where they can use it. Because most of the data are there. I mean, as you are saying, that it is there because there are scientists are working, engineers are working, the data are available. But the data sharing and understanding the data in the common parlance is a big issue in India.